One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friday evening show. We got one show today, one show Saturday, one show Sunday. I like the weekends. Hope your weekend is going well, because it started. The weekend, as far as I'm concerned, starts at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is a weekend, and I want everybody to kick off by having a good time this evening. We're going to cover a little bit of like the crazy news, and then we're just going to get into some good stuff. And you're not going to want to leave. So if you got to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom now. If you're hungry, go get some food. So let me tell you what I got coming up. I'm going to cover a little bit of news here. And then we're going to cover Melania's speech last night, kicking off the premiere of her movie. If you haven't seen the premiere footage, a lot of people, you normally have seen the red carpet, how people walk out on the red carpet and they get their picture taken. It was pretty interesting. It was long. It was like an hour's worth of people getting their pictures taken. I mean, I might do it tomorrow and speed it up so it's like 3x the speed so I can show you it all. But yeah, people look nice. They dress for the occasion. President Trump had a few things to say, but this is Melania's day. So I'm going to start off by talking about Melania when we get to some video. She made a speech last night, and I hope you guys, if you have had a chance, today the movie opens. Down here, I made a video today on X. Like I put in the chat, I'm doing these short videos, calling it my drive-by. When I'm driving from one place to the other, I can hit the GoPro and do a quick video. All right, I can do that. Takes me 1 or 2 minutes, or depending on where I'm going. And Robin and I were going to go see Melania's movie tonight. And I looked at all the theaters that we like to go to, which is normally I pick, and sold out. Sold out. So I looked for tomorrow. Sold out. So I looked for Sunday. Sold out. So don't let the libs tell you that people don't want to see this movie. They do. They're going to do everything they possibly can to suppress it. They will vote it down. They will give negative reviews, blah, 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 blah. Go see the doggone movie. Don't listen to them. They're running around in the streets right now in New York and Minnesota on their day off. I could find much better things to do on my day off than run around in the cold carrying flags and signs. By the way, the flags that they're carrying, it's Palestine flags again. I don't know what the hell these people are doing. They must have missed the memo from a couple days ago. Crazy. But go see the movie. And if you can't afford the movie or you'd like a free ticket, hopefully tomorrow, if not Sunday, we're going to put up a sign-up sheet and we'll start giving out tickets for free in your local movie theater. You'll sign up. It'll be a ticket for you and one guest. So you get 2 tickets if you win. But I need to know where the theater is near you so we can go ahead and purchase the tickets. We're trying to figure out how we deliver the tickets, but we'll figure that part out. So we're going to give away what amounts to 200 tickets to go see Melania's movie. 200 tickets. So I'm excited about seeing it. By the time you get your tickets, Robin and I will have already seen it. So I can give you hopefully by Monday, I can tell you what it's like. We'll see if we can't get in somehow. There are tickets available for the late show at 10:30 at night. And I think you're missing your demographic. Ain't nobody going to see no movie who's 65 and over going to see a movie at 10:30 at night. 10:30 at night, you'll have a whole theater of sleeping people. So anyway, we'll talk about that when we start giving away the tickets and start seeing the early reviews. Also, talking about going to a late movie tonight. If I had gone to a 10:30 movie tonight, by the time I got out of that 10:30 movie, more than likely, when you wake up in the morning, the government will be shut down yet again. The government is more than likely going to shut down. I know some of you follow silver, hold. I know some of you have stocks, hold. People are taking profit. They're panicking right now, and they know the government's about to shut down. Hold. Buy the dip. Not yet. Don't buy it yet. It's going to dip some more probably. I bet you this thing, after tomorrow's shutdown, it goes down again. Your bargains are going to be on Monday and Tuesday, probably Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday is when you want to, be like KGB and splash the pot. I could conceivably see silver dropping maybe down to 75. Don't panic. The government's shutting down. People are, oh my God, the government's shutting down. What do we do? Well, just go about your lives. That's why I don't want to really get into too much crazy news tonight, because there's going to be enough panic and news over the weekend. It's going to be crazy. 12:01 tonight. Just as you're laying your head to sleep, they're going to flip the switch off, and the government is more than likely, unless they have a Hail Mary today with a couple of votes, more than likely it's going to shut down. You're going to get your paychecks. You're going to get your Social Security. You're going to get all the stuff that you're entitled to, that you deserve, that you've applied for. Don't freak out. But a lot of the other stuff will be indeed shut down. It is what it is. We have a dysfunctional civil war right now, and it's most assuredly a civil war. And I'll be talking about that in depth tomorrow. So we got Melania, we're going to be talking about President Trump's executive order and what that really means today. And then the dessert after all that, I've got an interview I did with the Data Republican, and I've got an interview I did with Haley West, who was out there in Minneapolis, and she was the woman that got followed around. The Data Republican is a different kind of interview. You're going to have to be patient. The Data Republican is deaf, and so on screen, you will see the interpreter and the Data Republican, and then, of course, me. And when I ask a question, you have to wait until she answers the question, and then the interpreter tells you what she says. So be patient when you see that. I'm telling you right now, if SV and the mods, if anybody gives her a hard time because she's deaf, you're gone. I don't even want to hear you complain that she's using an interpreter. She is fantastic in what she does. She's amazing in the data that she's pulling out. And I advise everybody that's somebody, there's not a whole lot of people you should say everybody should follow. The 2 people I'm going to show you tonight, everybody should follow. They're not some BS politicians out there. All right, quickly, before we get into Melania. President Trump, and I am not going to read this entire thing, but President Trump nominated Kevin Warsh to be the replacement for Jerome Powell. For the most part, this guy seems like he's got the chops to lead the Federal Reserve. How are people going to respond? I've noticed a couple of big banks have said they're all for it. A couple of big business people were all for it. So I guess he's got the chops. And President Trump lays out his CV here, where you guys can read in here and see who this guy is. But it's going to be Kevin Warsh, assuming he can get approved. Because as of right now, nobody is making any inference as if they're going to be breaking the filibuster. What else do I want to show you? This is what I'm talking about right here. Eric Doherty. They're not going to want to talk about this either. This is something they're going to try to run from and find something else. Democrats are livid after latest e-files dump finds that Jeffrey admitted Donald Trump never got a massage. In an email to Michael Wolff. Absolutely brutal. He never got a massage. This explains why the Democrats have been retreating on the whole E issue all along. I only post that because I know some people still drool over that. I know it still gets some people's adrenaline going talking about the E-files. I don't care. I don't care. Because if there was something in there, it would have been exposed way back when Trump was even running for president the second time, maybe even the first time. You don't think Biden and Kamala would have done something? It's complete BS. And I don't like spending time on it. Speaking of the data Republican, she mentioned, we talk a lot today about what's going on with this database. And she posted this. Reddit is starting to notice. In case you guys don't know what Reddit is, it's where a lot of the young people talk and they communicate and they drive a lot of conversation. Yeah, the hackers of Stop Ice, wink, wink, weren't kidding. I can personally testify that the names, logins, passwords, locations, down to the coordinates on a map and the phone numbers of 100,000 users were all sent to the FBI, ICE, HSI, and more. Sherman Austin was given time to tell his users of the security breach, but I guess he failed his lesson. What does that mean? That means that the hackers that got into the Stop ICE website, this big signal chat, all of the users have now, I won't say all, most of the users have now been exposed. Now ICE, DHS, FBI, DOJ, they all have the information. They've got your phone numbers, they've got your addresses, they've got your email addresses. At this point, there's nothing you can do. They're coming for you. So the big story, somewhat besides our entire government shutting down, was Don Lemon getting arrested. And if you saw my video from earlier, that's what I feel about Don Lemon. And the people who were complaining, like Jim Acosta and some idiots out there, the people were saying it's his First Amendment right. Again, I will say it, I need to get a t-shirt. Democrats have no memory. If it didn't happen yesterday, as far as they're concerned, it didn't happen. I remember not too long ago where my wife, Robin, was kicked off of Twitter because she was talking about things. She still never got her handle back. Elon, if you're watching, she still never got her handle back. She had to take one of my dummy ones. My wife got kicked off of Twitter because they didn't like what she was saying. Take that story and multiply it times 100,000 people were kicked off of Twitter, Facebook. I'm still persona non grata on Facebook. They won't even let me try to, not that I want to anymore, but I can't even get on Facebook. I have an Instagram, but I can't get on Facebook. You make sense of that. And on top of all that, they booted the President of the United States off of Twitter. They booted him off of Facebook. They booted him off of Instagram. And so as you people are running around talking about how it's a journalist and oh my gosh, he got his First Amendment rights. Well, what kind of country are we turning into? Been there, done that. Took the t-shirt and threw it in the pool, took it out, threw it in the dryer and cut it up and put it in the lawn. Screw you. Completely screw every single one of these people on the left who are crying so bad about Don Lemon's First Amendment rights. People have to understand, and I mean seriously understand, what First Amendment really means. They bandy it about like there's some you can just say anything, anywhere. It's not true. There is no First Amendment where you can't have that kind of First Amendment speech. You can't go into somebody else's house. You can definitely not go into somebody else's place of worship. You can't come into my front door and start talking crap. I'm going to throw you out. You start talking crap in this chat, SB, Roaring Rage, Beth, Severo, they're going to toss you out. Sometimes Robin will even toss you out. You don't understand what free speech is. Free speech was completely designed, wait for it, for the government not to infringe on your free speech. You don't have free speech on Twitter, X. You don't have free speech on Facebook. You don't have free speech on Instagram. You definitely don't have free speech on YouTube because it's not designed that way. And I know there's a lot of people, well, I hope there's not, but there's a lot of people sometimes who think, I can say whatever I want, wherever I want, and you're not upholding my free speech. You can take your free speech and shove it where the sun doesn't shine. If I don't like it, if SV doesn't like it, if Beth, Severo, my wife, Roaring Rage, other people in the chat, they're going to tell you where your free speech ends. So Don Lemon, I don't care. I like I said in my video today, I had a couple expletives. I was being a little bit raw. But the whole thing with Don Lemon is he's probably never going to get convicted. He's not going to be like the January 6 people. They're not going to put him in the gulag and throw away the key because some liberal judge will say, no, we're going to throw it out of court. That's fine. I don't care. What I want to see happen, what I have to see happen, is him cutting lots of checks to defend himself. You see, people like him, they fear losing money more than their freedom. Their freedom is like, hey, I'll be okay. I'll get out of jail and I'll start talking and I'll make money. He actually is selling the video of him going into the church, selling it. Like, what kind of a scumbag do you have to be selling the video of you going into a church and being, complete trash? You know, one of the other things that the Democrats won't talk about for, obvious reasons is the kids. Remember the kid that they thought was being detained? And they made a big deal about this 5-year-old boy that may have been detained in their eyes. Interesting. Why is it they, as Tom Homan says, the dedicated, talented, and compassionate men and women of U.S. Immigration and ICE, the FBI and Office of Refugee Resettlement, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services continuously tirelessly to run down hundreds of thousands of leads and work numerous investigations to locate more than 300,000 unaccompanied alien children that the Biden administration turned over to unvetted sponsors, lost track of them, and weren't even looking for them. Through their outstanding efforts, they have so far been able to locate more than 145,000 of these kids. Kids that were in peril, the Democrats don't want to talk about. President Trump promised that we would find these children, and under his strong leadership and with his unwavering support, the patriots at these and other partner agencies have been and will continue to do just that. Nick Sorter said, the fact that the legacy media is continuing to ignore the largest child trafficking operation in U.S. history, enabled by Biden and Mayorkas, is mind-blowing. Thank you for your work tracking down these poor missing kids. And Tom Homan said, exactly right. Funny. One kid 300,000. One kid, 300,000. Should we not care about all of the other 300,000 missing kids that you have no idea where they are, who are they with, what has happened to them, what they've experienced, what they've endured? Instead of this one 5-year-old kid that you wanted to hang your hat on, where are your protests about that? When's Jake Tapper or Abby Phillip or, any of them? Where are they not? Why are they not talking about these 300,000 kids? I think what you're going to learn today, as I did as well, talking to the Data Republican and Haley, was that they don't want people to know real news. It's all manufactured. It's all BS, which is why they like to use that button and turn people's microphones off. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it at all, because it is so important that you understand that they are attempting to gaslight you. They have been trying their best to gaslight you. And I loved it. I know today when President Trump came out, a lot of people may say it's frivolous. It doesn't mean anything. If you haven't seen what he did today, it's nothing really big in terms of, some of the meaty stuff that people want. But it was something that our country can need. It's something that we can all embrace. It's something that you guys would be, you'd like to go. It would be fun to actually go there. And what I'm talking about, you're about to find out if you haven't seen it. I'm sure there'll be some people in the chat who's going to be spoilers. But I'm going to go right to a sponsor break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about Melania. When you're younger, one thing people never tell you about is chronic pain. Because when we're younger, we don't think about chronic pain. And then when we get older, all the stuff we did when we were younger begins feeling it in our bones, our knees, our backs. It doesn't just hurt your body. It steals your sleep. It can ruin your mood. It can ruin patience. It can ruin your life. Some people just can't stand being in constant pain. Big Pharma, all they want to do is shove another pill down your throat. Your doctors, just another refill, which becomes just another dependency. But here's the truth. Your body already has its own painkillers. They're called endorphins, and they're designed to shut pain down naturally and make you feel better. The problem, we all endure stress, inflammation, and we age. And that can explain why most people aren't activating those endorphins anymore. That's why people are swearing by canalidine. Some are even calling it nature's morphine, not because it numbs you, but because it helps switch your endorphins back on. The same relief pathway pain meds try to copy, but they just mask the pain. Without any fog or addiction or gut damage, canalidine actually works. 14 years of research behind it, over 2 million bottles shipped, and real people are finally sleeping throughout the night, moving without wincing, and feeling like themselves again. Actually being happy, laughing, and getting those endorphins out. Right now, you can try it risk-free for 90 days for less than $1 a day. It's backed by science and made right here in the United States of America. If you're done managing pain and ready to end it, this is for you. Just look at the link below in the description or go to trykano.com/Barry. trykano.com/Barry, as you can see right there. Once again, that's trykano.com/Barry. Your body already knows how to heal. This just helps it remember.
Please welcome First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump.
Thank Good evening. This is a very special evening, an incredible, historic moment. It's an honor to be in Washington, D.C., among so many friends. A beautiful room filled with a great energy, intellect, and love. Connectivity through advanced technology is changing our world. We are closer than ever because we are connected. Over live stream, our friends are able to join us here in DC from satellite theaters across the nation. So here is a warm welcome to my guests in New York City. Hello, Boston, Philadelphia, Miami, Orlando, and everyone in Palm Beach. It's a pleasure to be with the great people of Texas, in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. To everyone joining us in the Motor City, Detroit. Hello, LA, OC, San Francisco, and San Diego. I'm sure everyone in Nashville is having a lovely time already. Welcome Kansas City, Phoenix, Arizona, Denver, Salt Lake, and Chicago. Las Vegas. My film is about to begin. Hello, America. Stories endure. They make us more human. Stories embolden individuals, inspire legendary achievements, and build empires. They define who leads. It is, however, the untold story which carries the great significance. I authored the story you're about to experience with purpose. The charm of laughter, the tenderness of transparency, and determination to break new ground. Some have called this a documentary. It is not. My film is a very deliberate act of authorship, inviting you to witness events and emotions through a window of rich imagery. It is a created experience that offers perspectives, insights, and moments that only few have seen. Here, honor, pride, and truth are revealed, not through narration, but through genuine discovery. It is purposeful storytelling. You are part of this journey now. Our story will live on for generations, forever. Creating a film and launching a global marketing campaign is not easy feat. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a visionary team. First, I would like to thank my husband, America's director. Donald Trump. Thank you for providing our family with a life filled with experiences that only one could imagine. To my son Baron, my sister Ines, my father Victor Knaus, and my mother, who is watching down from heaven, your love is the powerful force that propels me forward. Amazon's team has been inspired from day one, and they continue to work around the clock to bring Melania to families across the globe. I applaud your team's dedication to great filmmaking. Brett Ratner, my director, has used his superior talent to redefine the genre of the documentary. He shaped a film with courage and care, one which will continue with generations. You capture our history. Fernando Sulcin, my producer. This movie carries such intention and heart. Congratulations. Your work on Melania will continue to resonate beyond tonight. Mark Beckman. I remember the moment we shaped this groundbreaking idea. Over the years, our collaboration has produced a remarkable body of work, and this achievement stands as a defining milestone among them. And finally, to everyone else here and in theaters across the country on this historic evening, I cherish you. It's an honor to be together for the world premiere of Melania. Enjoy.
I don't know about you, but I would have loved to have been in that premiere with everybody watching it, her friends, her family, everything that's been going on around that entire family for going on 10 plus years. And the way what I want to see in this movie, I want to see how she held it together. I hope there's some behind the scenes video that shows how, I can imagine the wife behind Donald Trump. Having known what she's had to go through, the constant tear down, the constant at everything that these people have done, and then taking a shot at him. And then, of course, she knows about other attempts that we don't even know about, never knowing if this man's getting on a plane for the last time. And how many people hate him. I mean, if I were her, I'd have to stay off of social media. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know where she would find the strength to see people calling Nazi, deplorable, racist, xenophobe, everything, Islamophobe. Every name in the book they've called this guy. And I think one of the things you're going to hear in the interview with which one? Haley is something she told me, because I asked her a question. I said, what are we seeing here? I mean, what is the goal? What do these people want? I mean, if ICE left, would they be happy? She's like, no, they would just find something else to bitch about. What they want is him gone. That's the goal here. And when she said that to me today, and you're going to hear it, it made me sit back and went, wow, that's how far gone we are, that there is no resolution. There will be no stop. We're going to spend the next 3 years going through this crap. And then she said something that chilled me even further. She goes, from what we're seeing, and I hate to be spoiler alert, but I had to talk about this. She goes, wait until the summer. Wait until the spring and summer, and you see, this is 25 degrees below, and they're out there doing this crap. Wait until it's warm. So we're going to see this for the next 3 years. They're not going to stop, and they have worked themselves up into a frenzy. And here's Melania, and she knows that their objective isn't to get ICE out. It's not to get rid of Tom Homan. It's not to get rid of Kristi Noem. It's not to get rid of Pam Bondi. It's to get rid of him. Everything he is, everything he stands for, everything you are, everything you stand for, they want it all gone. There is no protest. It is now a way of life. I think the media and everybody else, you have to stop calling this stuff protest. You have to stop calling them anything having to do with having some sort of movement. This is their life. They hate you. They hate me. They obviously hate Trump. They hate America. Their objective, tear down America. And I don't think enough people understand, we use the word civil war, and there are even people on the right who keep saying, don't talk about civil war. It is. That's what it is. They don't want to negotiate. There is no negotiation. Put Trump in a hole, lock him up, never talk about him again, get rid of all the maggots, turn off their ability to speak to each other, do something with them, throw all the ICE officers in jail. Let's tax the hell out of whoever's left, and then we might be okay. That's what they want. And so it's very hard to even so-called cross the aisle and reach and try to give an olive branch when they don't care. Luckily, most of them don't have the resources or probably intestinal constitution to really do you a lot of harm. But collectively as a group, that's where they get their strength. And so you're going to keep seeing this stuff. There is nothing President Trump can do. There is nothing Tom Homan can do. Yeah, well, actually, there's one thing. Die. Go to jail. That's it. Absent that, there's not. And the judges are right along with it. Today, there was a judge today who supposedly permanently blocked Trump's executive order that people have to have ID to vote. Permanently blocked. They don't care. So at some point, you have to back off and say, I don't care either. I don't care. I want to live my life. I want to enjoy America. And I don't care if I ever go into Minneapolis. As long as y'all don't come here, as long as you don't go where you live, enjoy your life. And when we get back, we're going to talk about, or we'll show you what President Trump did today, which is all about actually enjoying life. I'll be back in 90 seconds. You ever see something in the store and think to yourself, I got to have that. That's exactly for me. That's the kind of product I could see myself in. Well, if you're a MAGA Trump supporter, this is something you are going to want to take a look at. Check out the Trump MAGA sneakers. These sneakers are beautiful. They're awesome. Red, white, and blue. Got the accents, red on the heel. Beautiful, beautiful sneakers. If you guys have ever wanted to make a statement, if you're ever out in the club, if you're ever just shopping, maybe at the golf course, well, they're not really golf sneakers, but you could still wear them playing golf. I would tell you to jump all over this. These sneakers are awesome. Every time I've worn them, whether it's down to a Dolphins football game, whether it's going into a restaurant, it always catches eyes. People always say, what are those? And I tell them very simply, they are the Trump gold sneakers. Now, I know some of you guys might feel this is a little bit audacious, a little bit bold, but why not be bold right now? Trust me, these aren't just shoes. These are a fashion statement. They are conversation starters. The gold shine, the red, white, and blue accents. You're literally wearing your American pride on your feet. And let me tell you, nothing shuts down a woke lecture faster than walking in with these bad boys on your feet. But here's the thing, they don't just look good. They feel good. They're comfortable. They're durable. They're lightweight. These aren't the kind of sneakers you're going to leave in the box. They're not going to sit in the back of your closet. So toss your dusty, old, worn out shoes aside. You've been wearing holes in them. This shoe, people are going to take notice of. You're going to want to have these. The best part, the message that it sends, never surrender. Every time you put these on, it's a reminder that you stand for the flag, that you stand for the blue. Don't back down. You keep fighting for everything that you believe in. They also make a perfect gift. Everybody knows that's somebody who's a Trump supporter who's looking for something that they can wear with pride. They'll flip out when they unwrap these bad boys. So go ahead and get yourself a pair of these Trump gold never surrender sneakers. Head to themagaoffers.com/Barry. And if you go to themagaoffers.com/Barry, you can use that link for up to 15% off of your entire order today. You got to get some. Go get some Trump MAGA sneakers and start stepping your fans, your friends, your coworkers. Some of them might not like it, but who the hell cares? Go there today.
So I have some incredible people, and this is a very exciting thing that we're doing, and it was fast. They've wanted to do it. I understand they've been here hundreds of times over the years trying to do it, and they're going to give you a little bit of history. Roger Penske, everybody knows, he's a legend in many different things, but certainly in racing. He's won the Indianapolis 500 20 times. On the 18th time, I said, he's been a friend of mine for a long time, but on the 18th time I said, I think I'm going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom because, you know, how do you do that? Japan, Germany, Roger, right? Everybody, they want to win the Indy 500. Right. They spend billions of dollars getting a car, and this guy wins it like every year. He won it so many times that he ended up buying the track. So now he owns a track, he owns a race. It's pretty good. Now he's won it, though. He won it 2 times since he got it. And it's a total of 20. And didn't you win the Daytona 500?
Yes.
How many times?
4 times.
That's all? That's terrible. I can't believe it. Anyway, if you win it once, it's like great. The guy's amazing. He's a genius, and a real genius at cars and racing. And they are going to put up something that's really amazing. It's really having to do with our great 250th birthday, where we're having so many wonderful things. UFC is coming, as you know, in front of the White House with a building literally a stadium. We're going to have over 100,000 people. And this is going to have a lot of people. I won't even say how many people because I think it can set a record for racing. It's going to be very, very important. We're celebrating Greatness with American Motor Racing. That's going to be the name of the event. It's going to take place on August 21st through the 23rd. And it's going to be so exciting, and I love the racing. I don't have a lot of time to watch it, but I love the racing. And just before we start, I will say numbers came out this morning. They're phenomenal for the country. So
before he starts talking about the numbers and for the economy and things of that nature, I just want to make sure you guys all understood what they're doing, because no one's ever done it. They've tried to do it for over 100 years. They've been trying to talk about doing something of this nature. Understand, the last race that took place in Washington, D.C. of any sort was a horse race. I think they're going to talk about that. It was a horse race. And so down here, I'm lucky enough to see how they can transform an area. The Miami Dolphins play at the Hard Rock Stadium, and it's a football stadium, but the owner of the Miami Dolphins owns most of the land all around the stadium. And doggone if they didn't take that land and bring in a company and create an F1 track all the way around the area of the stadium. And it's simply amazing. It is so successful, it makes so much money, that it makes more money in one race than the entirety of the Dolphin season. People fly in from all over the world. I mean, Dubai, everywhere. You can't get enough space for all the private jets. It will raise gazillions of dollars for the economy. And so what they obviously have happened, they probably put an overlay and they looked at the roads, and the straightaway, the main straightaway is going to be right in front of the White House. You're going to, well, if you go, you're going to see cars screaming down at 190, 200, 220 miles an hour, right in front of the White House. I don't know if any of you guys have seen what's gone on in Vegas. They did the same thing. They looked at Las Vegas and said, we can put a track here. How are you going to do it? Well, we're going to zoom down the main drag, the Vegas Boulevard, I think it's called, and they built an entire F1 track. It takes them a long time to set up the barriers and make it safe and everything, but then they run a race, and you know it makes a ton of money in Las Vegas. F1, if you're not a real F1 fan, you may not even understand how big F1 is. It is a truly international race, and it usually costs anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 or more to even get a ticket to these races. And you're like, wow, that sucks. How are we going to spend $5,000 or $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a ticket? You won't have to. this F1 race is going to be free. Think about that for a second. You can't get anywhere near an F1 race for less than thousands of dollars. This F1 race right down in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital, celebrating the nation's birthday, the 250th, is going to be completely free to people who want to come see it. He doesn't like saying numbers like that, but I would venture to say we're talking about 1 million people easy lined up to see this race.
Announced yesterday that for the first time in, I think, 28 years, America made more steel than Japan. Can you believe it? Japan's a big steel country. America made more steel than Japan. The numbers are record-setting numbers. Every one of our numbers are doing. We've never had anything like it. We have over $18 trillion coming into our country. We're building thousands of plants and all sorts of businesses all over the United States. It's never been anything like it. $18 trillion investment. So we have over $18 trillion being invested in the United States of America. The record was $3 trillion 10 years ago, not by us, by another country. And we're going to do 18, and I think the 18 is going to go higher. We're just looking at 11 months. The 12th month hasn't come in yet, but it's going to bring us over 18, maybe even hit 20. So you have 18 to $20 trillion coming in, and we've never had anything like it. We have a record we just set, as you know. The S&P 500 just set a new record, 7,000. Nobody thought that was possible in this quick a time. They thought maybe at the end of 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. But we did it in the first year. And we had 48 stock market highs, Roger. So Roger's a big beneficiary because he has a lot of stock. But anybody that has stock, including people with 401ks. So the economy has never been like this. It was just announced that crime is at an all-time low. Best numbers on crime in the recorded history of our country, and the lowest numbers of murders in the history of our country that we have. Recorded history goes back 125 years. That's not bad. And a lot of that is because of the fact that we have a closed border. We've taken out thousands and thousands of criminals and murderers and drug dealers and everything else. And we've either brought them back to their country, or in some cases we have to put them in our jails because we don't want to have them come back. And so we don't want to just bring them back to their country and then they maybe come back. Despite our border, they're pretty sneaky, pretty smart. So we're doing things that nobody's ever seen before. The country is really in great shape. We have a large armada, flotilla, you can call it whatever you want, heading toward Iran right now, even larger than what we had in Venezuela. It's still in front of Venezuela. The Venezuelan situation, the leadership is doing a very good job. We're very happy, and we're getting along very, very well. And we're inviting countries of the world very shortly. They're going to be starting to take the oil. We're going to be heading that with the country, and it's worked out really well. We're now sending actually a larger number of ships to Iran, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we do make a deal, that's good. If we don't make a deal, we'll see what happens. But this is going to be exciting. So I'm going to ask, and he really is a legend. He's a great man. I've known him for a tremendously long time. I refuse to say we were both young. Now we're both a little older. We refuse to say old, but we're a little older. But Roger Penske is the chairman, as you know, of Penske Corporation. He's got everything you can imagine, mostly, I think, to do with automotive. And I'd like to ask him to say a few words about the event, because this is going to be, they're putting everything behind it, and I think it's going to be really exciting. Roger, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. This is a really amazing time for us as a company to support the 250th anniversary for the country. And there's no better way for us to bring automotive and speed into the DC area and to have the opportunity to be able to compete here with our Indy cars. As you know, we own the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we're taking that history of over 100 years and the speed and what's taking place there with the different manufacturers and bringing it here to this race will be amazing. Certainly the Freedom 250, when you think about it, it's just a byproduct of what the president has done during this year. And this will be an event obviously in August, which will make a huge difference. And we're excited, be areas for people to see. Most of the grounds will be free. So it's going to be an economic benefit to the area, to the city, and obviously with our Fox partner, Eric Shanks, will be our media partner. And believe me, what they did for us at Indy this past year, they're going to take that and put it on steroids, really, and take it to the next level. So thank you, Mr. President, for allowing us to come into your city.
That's so great, Roger.
Thank you.
Great man. Eric, I'd like to have you say a few words. He's done a fantastic job at Fox, and he's really excited about this, and I know they're going to lay it on the line. Eric, please.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here today. Big shout out to Secretary Duffy. This project was kind of on life support until you stepped in recently and got us here today. Secretary Burgum, your team has been absolutely incredible.
Explain how many times you came to Washington trying to do this.
I think Bud came here 81 times.
81 meetings I had in Capitol
Meeting
Hill.
with senators, meeting with people at the Capitol, and they all wanted it. Everybody wanted it, but they couldn't figure it out. It was crazy. 80 some odd times. That's pretty amazing. So go ahead, please.
Right. Well, it's a real honor to be a partner with Roger and IndyCar. And at Fox Sports, we do the biggest events in sports. This year we have the FIFA World Cup that we'll be celebrating here as well. And then dovetailing right after that, to be able to celebrate America's birthday on Fox is an absolutely incredible honor. And everyone at Fox Sports can't wait to see exactly how this is going to unfold and bring it to life. So, Mr. President, thank you again for signing this today.
And the big thing, it's August 21st through the 23rd, and I believe the race is on the 23rd, right?
Yes.
That's going to be incredible. They're going to have practice sessions. It's going to be just a very exciting period, I think, for Washington. If I could, I'd like to ask Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, who's terrific and doing a great job. Much more important than Sean is we have Rachel Campos Duffy here, and she's one of the greatest people I know and one of the greatest people on television, so most of you know her, but I don't think we'll have her speak about the race because she knows less about it than anybody up here. But she is fantastic. Sean, please.
So the president gave us all a directive, which I'm grateful for. We're going to celebrate America's 250th birthday, and he asked all of us to think outside the box. How do we make this historic and cool, and let's all do this together? And he loves the country, he loves the birthday, and so we at DOT were working on this concept. We didn't know at the same time Penske was working on the same project too. And so we've come together, and Doug has been a wonderful partner. But to think 190 miles an hour down Pennsylvania Avenue, this is going to be wild. The last time we had a race in the capital city, Bud, was when?
1801, Thomas Jefferson with the horse race.
A horse race.
You're telling me in this magnificent country, the last time we had any sort of race in Washington, D.C. was 1801. A horse race in 1801. So you're telling me, quick math here, 225 years since we've had a race in the capital of the country? My gosh. But now you're seeing why President Trump took such an interest in cleaning up Washington, D.C. What people aren't understanding, with everything you watch him do, he drops the breadcrumbs. There's a reason why we're doing this. We're going to do this because we're going to do that. We're going to make sure we get all these gangbangers and everything out of Washington, D.C. We got to make sure that it's vibrant for business. And then we're going to start bringing in all kinds of concerts and events and everything else. And now we're going to bring in probably over 1 million people into Washington, D.C. that are F1 fans. Do you think for an instant that F1 fans who are usually pretty affluent want to go into a hellhole like Washington, D.C. without it cleaned up? No, not at all. They want to know that they can get hotel rooms. So they're going to be looking at, and there's probably not enough hotel rooms specifically in DC. So they're going to hit the outlying areas. They're going to be in Maryland. They're going to be in Virginia. Uh, but anyway, when they come and descend, I can't even imagine what it's going to look like. And then, of course, seeing all these cars.
It's in 1801, Mr. President. Now we're going to do a real race.
That's so great. That's such a great.
So listen, this doesn't happen. You know, we just don't come in and ask the president to sign. There's a lot of work that goes into this, as you can tell. Bud and my chief of staff Pete all had a lot of meetings on the Hill. We couldn't be more excited about this. Again, I'm going to repeat: this is free for the American people to come to your nation's capital and see a great road race. Freedom.
That right there. I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but stuff blows me away. Go look up. You can look up anywhere and see go look for the Miami Grand Prix F1. See what the ticket prices were for the Miami Grand Prix F1 race. You're like, wait a second. How much does that say? Does that say 7,000? Does that say 10,000 for a flipping ticket? I mean, you might get something in the nosebleeds way over there, someplace where all you can do is hear, but you can't see. And the reason why this is so huge is because nowhere does a free F1 event, an IndyCar race. Nowhere. Look up the ticket prices for the Indianapolis 500. That usually is around Memorial Day, so they're probably selling tickets. Down here, we have Homestead, where we have our NASCAR race, where NASCAR races are. I'm excited because I know what this means for that city and the amount of revenue that's going to come on, and it's free. So you might want to make some plans.
America, speed, and road racing. It doesn't get more American than that, Mr. President. So thank you for signing this, and thanks for all of your support.
You are fantastic, and what a job you've done. They put it together very quickly. They've been coming here for years, and everybody wanted it. You know, every senator wants it, every Congress, everybody wants it, but they don't get things done.
Only Mr. President.
Trump gets things done. We didn't have 89 meetings. We had maybe a half a meeting. I think this is probably about a half a meeting. I'd like to thank Pete Meacham for the great job you've done representing us, and Luke Bunting. These are two young people that work with us, and they've really been fantastic. I'd like to ask Doug Burgum to say a few words. He's very much involved through his position of interior, because a lot of the space is interior. He sort of has, I think he's the largest landlord anywhere in the world by far. So Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. This birthday that's coming up, the 250th anniversary of America, Freedom 250, is the most monumental birthday maybe of any country ever in the history of the world. And President Trump, with his directive to celebrate this thing, we've got what's more American than race car driving? What's more monumental than the Indy 500 as an icon of what's going on in our country? And so merging the history and the tradition of our capital, Washington, D.C., with the speed and the innovation that goes on in the IndyCar series is incredible. And it's a great metaphor, because the speeds we're talking about is the speed of President Trump. I want to reiterate, there weren't 81 meetings with the Trump administration. I think they called President Trump. He got Sean and I going, and that was like from Saturday till now, we have a race.
1 week.
1 week we have a race, as opposed to like 4 months of talking. So I think there's also a metaphor here about President Trump, who's an incredible sportsman. He's an athlete himself, but he loves sports. And so whether it's soccer, UFC, the football draft, NFL football draft coming, IndyCar, and all the teams that he hosts here, I mean, to any American who loves sports.
Okay, so he rattled those off pretty quick. You know there's going to be a giant UFC battle in D.C. They're talking about, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it happen, bring the NFL draft to Washington, D.C. So he's trying to make Washington, D.C. away from just politics, but make it a mecca of sorts for people who want to be entertained in sports. Somebody had put in the chat, F1's not the same as Indy. Tomato. I mean, it's right there. The F1s go 220 miles an hour. The Indies are about 180, 190. The cars, but it's pretty much very, very similar. And for the person who's not a complete nut about racing, you're not going to really see the difference. The only difference, maybe not have the big name racers, guys like Lewis Hamilton. I don't know if he'd be into this, but who knows? We'll see. But in any event, there's no denying how big this is, and especially for the fact that it's free. How much did you hear about this in the news today? And of course, when he begins to take questions, they don't care. You know, it was funny. Yesterday, he did 2 events and he didn't take any questions. And Caitlin Collins and a bunch of other people freaked out. President Trump didn't take any questions. And like, why? You guys never want to talk about what we find important. We're doing something. And you bring up Minneapolis and Tom Homan, and you'll hear these questions.
Love this president because he's bringing professional sports to our capital. And again, August 21st to 23rd, you talk about the economic impact. By the time all these reporters get done telling the story, there's not going to be a hotel room available in this city on that weekend because everybody's going to want to be here. Right. People that maybe have wanted to see an IndyCar race their whole life are now going to have an opportunity to come to their capital, celebrate 250, and see an IndyCar race for free. And they're going to be able to see it on the National Mall. And wherever you put down your lawn chair and watch this race for free, you're going to be staring at the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and I'm sure there's going to be fireworks this weekend too. I'm sure of that. And if you need a permit, you can get one from Interior. So anyway, it's absolutely incredible. And congratulations to Sean, the Penske organization, Fox Sports, everybody for putting together. This is going to be a great celebration for America.
Thank you very much, and you're doing a fantastic job. Could I just ask Bud Danker, who's the president of Penske Corporation, to say a few words, please?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You know, Eric Shanks and I from Fox had this dream, and just last July, and could it ever be possible to bring a race to our nation's capital to celebrate our country's history? And everybody said there's no way. It's impossible. How do you put a race on at 190 miles an hour in a city like Washington, D.C.? I came here, I walked this area for a while, I found a racetrack on the Capitol grounds, up against a lot of meetings and couldn't get the kind of support we need. So within a week, Secretary Duffy and we put this together with the president, didn't we? And now we have a race here on our city property, on the national properties that is going to celebrate America. The word free shouldn't be overridden because we are going to have a free event here. People come out and celebrate our country's history. I also want to thank Mayor Bowser. She has been a great partner in this process as well too. So I know, Mr. President, she's a great supporter of what you've done here in the city as well too, and we thank her for this. But we're going to have an amazing event. We're going to make everybody in this country proud. We want everybody to come out for free and enjoy this and celebrate our country the way it should be here in the nation's capital. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I said pick the best site. It's very important. Pick the best site. Don't go for second or third because there are a lot of different routes. I said pick, even if it's more difficult to get approved. Pick the absolute best site. And they were actually looking at another site, and when I said that, they said, well, the best site is this site, the site we're doing. I said, let's take a look at it, and we think it's the best site too. It's actually better than the original site they were looking at, but if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. So this is going to be something in terms of the road width, the crowds, and everything else that we can all, the best site, one of the best sites I've ever seen, actually, and it'll be beautiful. So I'm going to sign this, and if you have any questions on this subject, that'd be great. We just named a new Fed chairman today. You know that? He's a central casting. He's like Roger Penske, central casting. You know him, Roger? Very good guy. Roger, no auto pen. I didn't use an auto pen. Here, Roger, take that.
I will.
Thank you. That's great.
Here you go, man. I don't want to sign each letter. You know, they sign each letter. They hand pens. I used to watch these presidents. One letter. You got to see what it looks like at the end. Never looks too good. Here, Rachel, take that. That's for your team.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This is really exciting.
Thank you.
You have any questions about
On your Fed chair nominee, since you just brought it up, did Kevin Warsh commit to you that he will push to cut interest rates if he is confirmed?
No, but we talk about it, and I've been following him, and I don't want to ask him that question. I think it's inappropriate, probably. It probably would be allowed, but I want to keep it nice and pure. But he certainly wants to cut rates. I've been watching him for a long time.
Did you have any concerns about his hawkish history of pushing for rate hikes?
He's going to want to do the same thing. I think that, yeah, I've had times when I think you've had to really have rate hikes too. But he's very smart, very good, strong, young, pretty young, and I think he's going to do a guy. I mean, he was the central casting guy that people wanted. Kevin was great. I tell you what, I met numerous people. Every one of them were fantastic, really fantastic. I wanted to keep Kevin here, and I thought that I called Kevin 1, Kevin 2. And we have, I said, it's going to be a Kevin, but Kevin really has been fantastic at the White House. You all know him, you know him very well. And so we have Kevin W.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the confirmation hearings? We've heard
No.
Senator Tillis.
No.
You think?
So just wanted to jump in for that. As you saw, they don't want to talk about this event. Don't even want to mention it. And I'm looking at some of the chats, and you guys are like, it's not F1. F1 is different than Indy. Yes, you are correct. And F1 cars are very expensive. Really expensive. But to me, as a casual, not a big time fan, it's sort of like with me. When people say like the arena football is still, no, that ain't football. So I understand what you're saying, because if you're a diehard F1 fan, that's not really an F1 race. So I understand what you're saying. I mean, for the casual fans like me, there's fast cars going around in a circle. I got you. And the same thing, hope you understand, arena football ain't football as far as I'm concerned. But the lingerie football, that's definitely football. There's no doubt that that's football. But anyway, they're talking right now about the guy he just nominated to be the new Federal Reserve Chairman. And the question is, do you anticipate that there's going to be any hurdle in getting this guy confirmed? Tom Tillis, once again, and I'm sure he'll be joined by somebody like Rand Paul, where it's a no, always no. If Trump wants it, it has to be no. So Tom Tillis has come out already and said, nope, not going to vote for him, not until we finish investigating Jerome Powell. He won't vote for him. These guys, they might as well be Democrats. They don't want to further the country. They don't want Trump's agenda passed.
With the DOJ investigation?
This is in the whole country. I would say that this was the perfect candidate. This was not a surprise or anything. This was the man that's most qualified. Top student, best schools, everything was like perfect. The youngest person ever to serve on the Fed. Got the whole package. Looks don't mean anything, but he's got the look, right? Roger, looks don't mean anything, but if they have the look, it's okay. But he's got the whole package, and I think he's going to do a great job, and he loves the country.
Mr. President, why are you
Will you speak to Please, in the back, yes.
Are you giving Iran any kind of deadline to make a deal before potentially taking
Only
military
they
action?
know for sure.
Have you communicated that to them directly?
I have.
Do you have a timeline for when you're going to pull back potentially the federal presence there?
No, we'll see how it all works out. They have to float someplace. They might as well float near Iran, but it's a rough situation going on. So I stopped 837 people, as you know, last week from being hung. They were going to hang 830. It was all set. And I'm looking at the people behind me. They're saying, what kind of racing's a lot nicer than that, right?
Exactly. These guys are big television, big racing executives, and they're talking about Iran. It's like they didn't even have the signing ceremony, like it meant nothing at all. I don't get our media. Why do you not want to find out all the other side? They're not even asking them about Melania's movie. They're not doing anything. Iran, and I'm sure the next one will be Minnesota. Or why don't you talk about the good stuff that's happening in this country? The woman's got her movie coming out tonight. Tonight, yes, they had a screening last night in Washington, but the movie debuts tonight for everybody else. He's talking in front of all these executives who are talking about this major event in Washington, D.C., and they don't care. In fact, when I was watching this early, once again, Fox cut away.
They were going to hang 837 people, and I told them, if you do it, you're going to pay a price like nobody's ever paid before, and they pulled back. I appreciated that. But a lot of people are being killed, so we'll see what happens. I can say this, they do want to make a deal.
Mr. President, about Virginia, actually. Virginia flipped the governorship, and now they're looking at 50 proposals to increase taxes. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's terrible. I think a lot of people will leave Virginia. I saw that. Look, Glenn was a friend of mine, Glenn Youngkin, and worked so hard on cutting taxes, this and This woman came in one swoop, she raised everything up higher than it ever was. I don't understand it. I mean, people voted for Democrat, but she came in and she raised, and I'll work with her like I work with everyone else, but she came into Virginia, raised everything to a point like taxes that nobody ever even heard of before. And I don't understand. How do people get elected with this kind of philosophy? This is only in the very modern age. You know, I grew up and I've always heard politicians will cut taxes, everybody screaming we're going to cut taxes. I cut taxes. I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, in the great big beautiful bill. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. Interest deductions, Roger, when somebody buys a car, they can deduct the interest if they borrow money. That's the biggest thing in terms of the car business, right?
American-made ones.
Correct. So we have, you know, I give tax cuts and they give tax increases. I don't know how they get elected. They get elected because they cheat. You want to know the truth?
Notice nobody's going to follow up with that question. He just dropped out something. You got something to say about that? You guys got something to talk about? Hey, they only get elected because they cheat. You know what happened in Georgia. You know what's going on over there. Tomorrow's show is going to be Georgia, Georgia, Georgia. So I'm going to drop all this information on you tomorrow. But they don't want to talk about that. It's like they've been given instructions. Shh, don't mention Georgia. And the president just told you they're cheating. I don't even know how they get elected. Yeah, actually, he does.
Didn't cheat. If they didn't cheat, they'd have no chance. They have horrible policy, transgender for everyone. They have the little thing about open borders so that the world's prison population and mental hospitals can be emptied into our country. It's just a crazy. Men playing in women's sports. Roger, are you a fan of men playing in women's sports? Only as a bettor. If you'd like to bet, if you're not a big fan. I don't think so. I don't want to get him in trouble, but I think he joins in 99%. They say it's an 80-20 issue. I think it's maybe 99. It's 99-1.
Mr. President, why are you suing your own administration and the IRS? Why are you suing?
Who are you with?
I'm with ABC News.
You're a loud person. Very loud. Let somebody else have a chance.
Can you answer?
Oh, I love that feed because you can actually see her face. Who are you with? Oh, ABC. Oh, you're loud. You're obnoxious. Go away. Go away, little girl.
Why are you suing
ABC
IRS?
ABC fake news.
You're suing.
Go ahead. I didn't call on you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right here.
Yeah.
Do you think the upcoming talks...
ABC, by the way, is truly one of the worst. Go ahead.
Do you think the upcoming talks between Russia and Ukraine stand a chance without U.S. envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner there?
I think they stand a chance. We've been trying. I've ended 8 wars. All of them I thought were going to be maybe tougher than this one. But Zelensky and Putin hate each other, and it makes it very difficult. But I think we're getting very close to getting a settlement. Hundreds of thousands of people, mostly soldiers, have been killed. Last week they lost 29,000 people. Last month they lost 29,000 soldiers. Can you believe that, fellas? 29,000. You lose one race driver and it's a big deal. 29,000 soldiers in 1 month. 27,000 the month before. I think that I think that we have a good chance of getting it settled. Yeah, ma'am, please.
Mr. President, on the Warsh nomination, what is your strategy for getting past the hold that Senator Tillis has on this process? He said he won't allow.
Well, that's that kind of thinking is why he's no longer a senator. He's going to be out of office. It's too bad. I always liked Senator Tillis actually, but he did some things that were not smart. And whatever. I mean, if he doesn't approve, we'll just have to wait till somebody comes in that will approve it, right? So that's it. But I saw that. He wants to be an obstructionist, but we have a lot of obstructionists. I've had a lot, and we've created the best presidency maybe ever. Yeah.
A follow-up. If Iran doesn't make a deal, is your plan to replicate there what you just did in Venezuela?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to talk about anything having to do with what I'm doing militarily. But we have a tremendously powerful fleet there. We have the most powerful ships in the world. We have the most powerful military by far in the world. We showed that on numerous occasions. I mean, I rebuilt the military in my term. If I didn't, I wouldn't, I think, be able to say that. But I rebuilt the military, the entire United States military in my first term. And now we're building it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. I'm adding to it. We're adding something called a battleship. You would find this interesting. You know the old-fashioned beautiful battleships? And we're adding up to 25 of them. Each battleship is 100 times more powerful than the battleships of the 1940s, those big, powerful ones with the guns, because of what the ships carry. But we're going to build 10, and then we'll see how we like them, and we're going to go and do another 15 after that. Could be up to 25 battleships. 100 times more powerful. Can you imagine that? And it's peace through strength. We don't want to use them, but if we have to use them, we will.
Mr. President, on the Fed, should the DOJ continue with its investigation into Jay Powell? That seems to be a sticking point for Senator Tellis.
Well, he's got a building that, I build buildings, and I build them under budget, ahead of schedule. I build them, but they're within reason always. And this is a small little complex that's costing billions of dollars, most expensive job per square foot ever built. And it's a little complex. It's a little Fed complex. I built the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, and I built it for around $200 million, and it's bigger than that. They're spending many times that amount to do a renovation of a building. I've heard numbers as high as $4 billion. $4 billion to build a building. I could have renovated that building and fixed it up, made it beautiful for $25 million. They're going to spend close to $4 billion on it. So it's either gross incompetence or it's theft. Somebody's making money, because you can't spend. It's more per square, and you have half a building there. You know, you have the structure, you have the exterior skin that they're not changing much. They're building a building and they're spending almost, I'm hearing numbers of between $3 and $4 billion. It's the most expensive structure ever built per square foot. So he's either incompetent, or he or somebody is a crook. And we'll find out.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. On Minneapolis,
on
Minneapolis, Governor Tim Walz recently likened the conflict on the ground to Fort Sumter, sort of imply that this is the beginning of a civil war. Do you agree with that characterization? Do you feel like there's a civil war brewing?
The governor.
All right, so this is really important. Tim Walz, I've been telling you guys, I already feel like we're in a civil war. Tim Walz actually said it today. It actually came out of his mouth today that he thinks this is going to be like a Fort Sumter moment. What an asinine statement. Is President Trump's going to answer that?
Said that? Well, does he know what Fort Sumter was, or do you think somebody wrote it out for him? No, this is, I was elected on law and order. I was elected on a strong border. We had a border that allowed 25 million people to come in. Many were murderers. They murdered people. We had 11,888 murderers. We had prisons, including Venezuela, but Venezuela opened its prisons. So did the Congo. The Congo in Africa opened its prisons. They dumped people into our country. Many countries did that. I would have done that if I were leading a country. I would have dumped the prisoners into our country. We had open borders. We had all these things. I was elected on law and order. I was elected on the economy. I was elected on a lot of reasons. Because when I took over, we inherited a mess. Prices were too high. Inflation was the highest it was in 48 years. I say ever, but the media always corrects me by saying it's only 48 years. I think 48 years almost sounds worse. But when I was elected to do a job. And one of the big things I was elected to do is law and order. We now have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country. We have the lowest murder rate in the history of our country. We have Washington, D.C., which was a dangerous place to walk, is now a totally safe city. You can walk with your husband or your wife. You can walk with your children right down the middle of the city. Nothing's going to happen. We did a great job. We had the National Guard. We have soldiers. We have people that nobody's going to mess with. And we've taken out. Remember, it's not just that. In Washington, we've removed over 2,000 criminals. And, if you look at the numbers, a very small percentage of your population, 2%, 3% of your population causes 90% of the crime. So when you move it's amazing how that works. But the criminals go over and over and over again. So 2 to 3% of your population can cause over 90% of your crime. So it's not that complex. We moved 2,000 people out of Washington. We brought them back to their countries where they came from. They came through open borders by sleepy Joe Biden. And I will tell you, Washington is safe. If you look at New Orleans, as you know, we went there about 4 weeks ago. I was with the mayor of New Orleans last night. He was at the premiere, and she was at the premiere. She was great. I believe she's a Democrat. She came over. She thanked me so much. She said crime is down more than 50% in just a few weeks. And you couldn't even walk down the street in New Orleans. It's so bad. And now they let us in there, and she is thanking me so much, so profusely. She was great last night. I'd do that if I were a Democrat. I'd say call Trump and let them do what they do. But we remove people, criminals, from the cities, and they become safe cities. If you look at Minnesota, Minneapolis, we have crime down there because we took out thousands of people, despite all the mess and everything else. But do these people really want to have rapists? Do they really want to have drug dealers and people from prisons and murderers? Do they really want to have them in the community? It's really insurrectionists and agitators, and they're paid. And you can tell a lot of reasons. Number one, they're professionals, with their mouth. But they're also, you look at the signs are all professionally made. They have signs that are gorgeous. In fact, I want to get the sign because I need a lot of signs for different things, and I want to find out whoever does their signs, they do a beautiful job. Everybody has this beautiful sign with brand new wood. It's like leather panels. They have a leather handle on the bottom. These are people that are handed signs, and we know pretty much, we're getting very close to it, but we know pretty much who's funding this stuff. These are paid insurrectionists, paid troublemakers. But I was elected by a landslide. I won every swing state. I won the popular vote by a lot. I won everything. And I was elected by a landslide on law and order and on strong borders. We had a border that was so bad, so open, where 25 million people came in over a period of 4 years, and now nobody comes in. Nobody even tries to come in. And I can only say, I think, we'll say it very plainly, elections have consequences. The people want law and order. And we have a silent majority. We have a silent majority of people. They don't go and riot and everything else, but they like what we're doing. They like having a safe city. I get calls every single day. Every person I see working in the White House, people I don't know, many people work here, and they say, I'd like to thank you, sir. Why? You've made Washington so great. We walk to work. They walk to work. You people know it very well. You walk to work now. You used to take an Uber or a taxi or something, and you even felt like in danger there. Every person in this building, virtually every time I see somebody, they thank me. Because a year and a half ago, they lived in hell, and now they can walk to work, and they're totally safe. Nothing's going to happen. And if anything did happen, the person that did it would be living in hell for a long period of time. Thank you very much, everybody.
He talked for 32 minutes after he did the executive order. After the executive order, he actually then took questions, and not one single question about the race. How rude is it? You've got all these people behind him that are there to celebrate something, and hey, you guys got any questions? And nobody wants to talk about it's so ignorant. The man just signed an executive order. That should be news on its face. Here's an executive order. We're going to be doing this big race. It's going to be for free. It's going to be held right here in Washington, where you guys all now are safe. Not one question. Not one. And so unless you watched that, unless you heard about it, you're not going to hear about it. You're not even going to know about it. These people have one vision, and even the good ones, even the people like on Newsmax or different things, they're all falling to the same crap. Their whole bleeds it leads thing. I'm like, you want to know the quickest way to end what's happening in Minneapolis or New York? You want to know what the quickest way, the easiest way to stop it? Stop televising it. If nobody took pictures and videos and ran this stuff on every station 24/7, oh, look at the people in Minnesota, and every single time, if they weren't getting that attention like petulant kids, they'd stop. See, I've had that in my mind for quite some time. Just turn the camera off. Just tell them, yeah, we're done. We're not covering you people anymore. They would probably do snow angels and cry because there's no more cameras. They know the cameras are on them. They know we got to look good out here. We got to bring out numbers. We got to do all kinds of things. We got to trash the ice guys because the cameras are there. It's all staged. I feel like I'm on the back lot of Disney, or when I used to work up there and I was watching movies being made at MGM. It's all fake. And all they'd have to do is just say, you know what? We're not sending a crew. Really? No, we're not sending a crew. You didn't send a crew to this. They're not talking about what happened here. They took even Fox. While I'm watching this, I'm doing work today. And I'm like, oh, well, we'll come back to it if there's anything breaking. That's what they said on Fox. If there's anything breaking. And then they went back and talked about, you're not going to, I swear to God, I could rewind and show you. They went back to cut back to Luigi Mangione, the healthcare killer, whether or not he was going to get a death sentence. I swear. And I'm like, wait a minute. You turned off the president of the United States. You're supposedly a right-leaning station, and you're like, well, we're going to go into the courthouse for an update on Luigi Mangione on whether or not he should be get the death penalty. And it dawned on me, that's what's wrong. They are deciding what it is that you see and what it is that you hear, and they're, in their own way, turning off President Trump. So speaking about stuff that you will never hear, I've got two interviews back to back here. This first one is with the Data Republican, and I recorded it earlier this afternoon while I was watching the crazy stuff on Fox. And again, as I said before the show began, the Data Republican is deaf. And so you're going to see two people on screen. You're going to see the interpreter, and then you're going to see her respond to the interpreter. And there's a little delay. And when I say, blah, 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 they go back and forth, and then the interpreter says what was said. And this isn't just some ordinary interpreter. I don't like to say the names, but the data interpreter, which you can follow on X as well, is always with her. So she knows that you don't have to wonder whether or not she was making stuff up. They know how to talk to each other. When we put them on, and Ashley booked it. I said, what do we got to do? And we had to put them both inside the same frame. And then she's like, what you have to do is make sure that you don't clip it too close. I need to see every movement she does with her hand. I need to see her elbows. And so before we started, I'm trying to do the crop and make sure that, that everything she needs, because they're not in the same room. One was in one state, one was in the other. So she was watching as the Data Republican was answering the questions. So I hope you guys have the patience for it. I mean, I learned a lot just by watching the interaction. And if you've never been around anyone who's deaf, you're about to see something that you probably haven't been used to. And I hope you don't get bored with it, because there are some delays when there's nobody talking, because they're going back and forth with the sign language. So this is my interview today with the Data Republican. And click the button, Barry. Click the button. Hey everybody, we have an amazing interview for you today. I've got the Data Republican and the interpreter, the Data Interpreter. If you've been following anything lately involving data, involving Doge, involving what's going on in Minneapolis, I am sure you've been seeing her work. And if you haven't been looking at her work, you should be. You should definitely be following the Data Republican. And so let me bring her on. Here she is, the Data Republican. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm so humbled to be interviewing with you, Barry. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, thank you guys for taking the time. Now, what is your background in data forensics before you got into like the political analysis?
Well, I'm a database kernel engineer. which means that I build the actual direct systems themselves inside the database, so you can have a deeper understanding of the indexes in the database and figure out all of that organization. And I just try to apply that to real world numbers and statistics.
So why the little r after the Data Republican? What does that signify?
Well, it means, yes, I'm a Republican, but the small r indicates that I have an absolute no tolerance for corrupt Republicans. And I believe in a Republican government. And obviously, I'm very Republican leaning for the Republican Party. However, I'm warning everybody right now, if they're corrupt, I'll find them too.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. So what drove your interest into start diving into these numbers?
Well, I started working on election predictions through the early voting, and I was really successful. And then it somehow became viral in 2024 because I predicted correctly. And then after that, I started focusing on nonprofit awards. And now here we are. As you can see on the Data Republican website, I have a whole network where you can find access to find the awards for nonprofits.
Wow. Just to let you guys know, normally I put up the comments when I'm doing interviews, but there's so much to look at. I don't want that to distract. So I'm not going to put the comments on the screen in case anybody's wondering why there's no comments, because there's too much going on for the comments. So when did you first have contact, or have you had contact directly with Elon Musk, and how did that come about?
Well, I was analyzing the grant rewards, and he saw one of my posts. Then he somehow made a post that announced to everybody that the Data Republican was really important. And suddenly there were so many eyes on me. It was like 2:00 in the morning. And my husband was like, hey, oh my God. He shook me awake. He said, get up. He was like, you need to look at your social media right now. He said, Elon told everyone to follow you. And my husband was like, whatever, went back to sleep. But at the same time, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Now, were you ever formally asked to join Doge?
Yes, I was. Many times, actually. They approached me often. But the friction there is that, like, for example, X. They told me if I joined Doge that I couldn't post on X anymore and I couldn't be showing my research. So the rules became a lot more restrictive if I would have joined Doge, but I'm still in communication with them.
Oh, wow. So in your opinion, is Doge successful?
I think it's more about changing your perspective by looking at money as opposed to looking at the reaction, right? The threat of the protests. We had fire bombings of Teslas, all those things that happen, remember? Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at the money and what Doge is trying to find, it's more like, what's the reaction that is caused from what they're looking at? And you can see that all of this has happened because Doge had a direct focus on the center of the uniparty. Through cutting and laying off all of their key players and all of their big money funnels. People in the government, but the protests are still going to happen because, like I said, this Doge activity has cut directly to the center of the money pipeline, and that's what really pisses everyone off.
So what was the first shocking fraud discovery that you personally have found?
Well, I figured out that we were paying top lawyer services for illegal immigrant deportation. So here's why it's crazy. So most of Americans can't afford lawyers, but for some reason we paid for the top lawyers in the country to represent all of the illegal immigrants that we deported. We set them up for deportation and then we assigned them lawyers. The government set them up for deportation and then the government also gave them these top paid lawyers to fight it.
Wow. Wow. You don't have to say who if you're not comfortable, but do you have any direct contact right now with anybody in the White House or with the Trump administration? And if you do, what was their reaction to what you've initially uncovered?
No, not formally. I don't. But I can hear things and say things. They listen to me. Like, if, I post something important, they'll pay attention.
So how much money did you initially find was being stolen or wasted in regards to the lawyers for the immigrants? And now, a year later, what have you found or that you can estimate the money is that's being fraudulently stolen or wasted?
Well, at first, I estimated it was $100 billion being wasted. And that was based on, the immigrant money and all of that. But as the year has gone on, I've actually figured out that there was a lot of fraud. And it was a lot of fraud with Medicare and all of that stuff. And I truly believe that the number has gone up now over $1 trillion easily every year.
I watched a interview that you did with Newsmax, and you said it wasn't just important how much there was. What was really important was what they're doing with the money. What did you find that they've been doing with that stolen money?
So one example I can show is that recently in Minneapolis, they have Nick Sherrill, I've been finding all of these different fake providers for Medicare. And so what I did was I downloaded all of service provider databases. I downloaded all the service provider databases and I ran AI on every list. And I found 4,000 names of providers that had absolutely zero proof on the website that their links, the links went nowhere. There was no documents to show what they did. There was nothing. I couldn't find anything.
That's incredible. Without naming any names, don't want to get you in trouble. I know you've had to move and I'm sure you need security. Do you have a good idea of where it went? Not where it went, but who are the people behind this? Or are there just too many people to speak of?
It's easy to think it's people, but it's just the system, like many immigrants, they send money back to their home countries, right? Back to their families. But then the money goes to fight wars. It goes to, and then the US is also involved in fighting this war as well and financing it. Somalia is a perfect example of this, right? We we went there in the 90s to try to install democracy. And of course, it was not successful. And since then, it's been a failing state, fighting wars, and we've had to pay to ship people back. And so they come here, we find out that they don't have the correct documents, and then we have to ship them back and forth. And it's just this big circle of migrants and us shipping them back and then shipping them here, all because the money is changing around.
You know, you mentioned that you used AI to do a lot of the database mining that you did. Do you write your own code or prompts, or is there different software? Because how did you get the data in order to begin digging into it?
Yes. I write my own code, and I also use AI to help me write the code. But yes, it's all my own work. And AI, you have to understand, AI is just a tool like everything else. And it's about the person knowing how to use it. And I've been very lucky as a database scientist to understand how it actually works.
Now, you once said if you analyze all the politicians deep enough, you will find that they're all interconnected, almost like an incestuous relationship. Is the fraud throughout Washington, both on the left and the right?
Absolutely. Yes. Both the left and the right. For example, you know how Republicans talk a big game about immigration, right? But the IRI supports financing. Well, wait, let me explain the IRI really quick. The International Republican Institute. It's like their soft power arm. You understand? And so that IRI supports and finances international organizations of migration. And that's a big network, that's a big institution. And there's many institutions involved in that. And so it spreads, this understanding that we have of immigration throughout the world, which is hard. So the point is that the IRI finances immigration in a network system.
Have you found at all that some of these rogue judges are involved financially as well?
It's worse than that, Barry. If you look at the website, that I've set up, there's a list of all the NGOs involved that are quote unquote building democracy in America.
Okay. Listen very closely to how she answers next. What she says next, I know some people in the chat are pissed off. What she says next is going to make your head explode. So just get ready.
And those lists, I believe it's over $100 million involved in quote unquote training the judiciary. Which means, I can only assume means, that there's over $100 million going to NGOs that are training judges to do exactly what they want them to do.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about Minneapolis. What do you find scarier, that the fraud, the money, or the signal network and everything that their organizations that these people have developed?
It's all connected together, Barry. There's nothing that's separate about any of this. The fraud would not happen if we didn't have so many people protesting and fighting against the government, right? Because the fraud finances it. And that protest and the fight wouldn't happen without the money coming to finance it, right? It's a big catch-22.
How sophisticated is it? We're seeing Minneapolis and we're seeing it pop up in different areas. How really widespread is this network?
Well, so Minneapolis is very organized. Like, they have different groups and branches. They have individual groups that are very local, but it's not all states are like that. But California, New York, Seattle are like that. Yes, do have that type of organization. But there's some kind of infrastructure that there's some kind of infrastructure like that in every state.
How can it be dismantled, or can it be? Is there a way that you know from data mining or something that we can dismantle this? And what's it gonna take to tear this down?
Well, I wish I had a better answer, but if you saw my post about it yesterday, about the Stop ICE post, like how over 100 million users have their names locally, their phone numbers, their address, their passwords, their license plates sent to the FBI. And those are all people involved in doxing ICE.
Now, and this is a tough question. So in your opinion...
I wish I could say this wasn't true, but a lot of people are fighting individually as well.
This is a tough question. So in your opinion, with everything that you've seen and how deep it actually goes, can this government even be fixed at this point? Is this something that President Trump can even do?
I think the right question to ask is not like, how do we fix it? I don't think that's the right question. But this is a system that's been built over 60, 70 years. And you have to understand this type of stuff takes on a life of its own. And so the question we really have to figure out now is, why are we only starting to figure all this out now? Why now? And it's because they're legitimacy is crumbling. And that's never a good thing for their survival.
You say their survival. Are you talking about the bad guys or the good guys?
The bad guys.
Okay.
Yeah. When your legitimacy crumbles, that's when your survival's threatened.
I saw that you've had to move, and people were, trying to find you in different things. Can you tell us a little bit about the threats you've received? And bigger question is, do you feel safe now?
Well, Doge, when all that happened with the Doge thing, I was a top target. And I had to, my husband even got threatened They were sending threats to him and his business because I locked all the access points. But his business, his distillery, was continuing to be public. And so he caught a lot of slack there. So he had a lot of threats sent to him. And one night, we had 4,000 messages sent. After that, we just decided to take up the kids, and we went to another state and kind of hung out with the parents for about 6 weeks.
Wow. Do you feel safe now?
I guess safe is the wrong word. I feel like I'm doing what I've been called to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing else except that. Got to do it.
I believe that. And, same thing here. I'm just doing a podcast, but there's people I know that would love to be able to take me down and get me off of YouTube, just like anybody on the right. It's sick. It's an absolute sickness. So I pray for your safety. I pray for your family's safety as well. What are you working on next? I understand you're digging into Minneapolis. You're exposing the anti-ICE network. What do you see yourself working on, say, this week, next month? What are the next projects you're going to be doing?
Right now, my big focus is taking down all of the ICE doxing websites is my main focus.
Good job. And one of the things, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying it's important. And then after that, I'll be focusing on fraud again. But I think protecting officers needs to happen.
Well, I thank you for taking the time today. I know everyone can follow you on X, but I have to ask this because of everything you're going through, and I understand how much time it must take to do this stuff, but trying to save the country full time. Do you have a GoFundMe or a tip jar somewhere where we all can donate? Or is there something we can do to help you?
Well, I preferred subscriptions on X, please. They're only $3 a month. And I don't like, big donations because I prefer my subscribers because it holds me accountable to a large number of people as opposed to a big donor. And I want people to know that I'm not easily swayed, and I want to work with the dollars from the people.
Wow, that is very admirable. Both of you, please stay safe. Thank you very much. Would love to have you back as more information is uncovered. I love it. I love it. Number one, I understand numbers don't lie, and I like hearing the actual numbers from people, not the crap that they tell us on television. Oh, let me ask you that. Do any of the television networks even come to you and say, hey, listen, you've got some great data, we'd like to talk to you?
Well, for the last year, I've been very quiet because, I've been writing a book. So that's a big deal. And the book will be finished soon. And we'll talk about that soon. And after that, I'm sure I'll get a lot more connections. The book's coming around fall time, but I'll make an announcement later.
Well, let us know. We'd love to have you back on. We thank you for your time. You're doing God's work out there. So bless both of you, and both of you guys need to stay safe. Thank you very much.
Of course, Barry. Thank you.
I have never done that before in my life. I've never even had a conversation face to face with somebody in regards to having to go through an interpreter, whether it's from a different country or anything. So I learned a lot from that. Like I said, that was about a 27-minute interview. It took us probably 45 minutes to do it. Somebody had asked it earlier, why aren't there closed captions? You can't do closed captions on YouTube when you're doing something live. So if I were going to do something closed caption, I would have had to record the questions first. That way she could put them on and read it. So it's just not feasible. So I was so happy. And by the way, the interpreter, that's Data Interpreter. You can follow her on X as well. They're in 2 different locations, 2 different states. And so the amount of production it takes to put that together, where if one woman was watching, well, the dark-haired woman was listening to what I said, then she had to signal it to the Data Republican, then the Data Republican had to give her the answer, and then the dark-haired woman had to tell us what the Data Republican had said. And so, bottom line, with everything she said, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I think the thing I took away most from this is that our government is in a real bad way. They're all in bed together. And now it's been proven. She's got data. Elon's got the data. She's given it to the DOJ, the FBI. Everybody has the data now. And what we're seeing, and what I haven't seen it, but what she has seen, and obviously what Elon has seen, is that we are just one big theft ring. Left and right. They've all gotten rich, fat and happy, stealing your money, and which is probably why nothing ever happens, because they all know the other person's doing it too. Incredible. Now, I'm going to segue. I got one more interview with you. This interview is with Haley West. Haley West was the woman who was out embedded into Minneapolis, and she was embedded, and she was the one who got followed around. I'm going to show you that video that she took, or one of her compadres took, as they were being followed around. There's a couple bad words in it, so you know, hold your ears when it gets to it. But as soon as this intro video is done, I'm going to cut right to her.
We are not ice. We're not ice. Because you're fucking ice. We're not ice.
I'm showing my face. I'm not ice.
We've come to you. We're not ice. Yeah, they've been following us for over an hour. We're not ice. We're just letting them know, and they.
Not in a nice vehicle, right?
No. Right.
Right, get in your truck and get the fuck out. Why? Because you need to go. Confirmed ice. Get the fuck out.
Confirmed ice through who? We're American citizens. We're not ice.
These are the people that you're abducting. Get out. Why are you filming us? Please go.
Because they've been following us for over an hour.
Why are you guys here? What are you here doing? Where do you live? Where are you from? The protest is public property. What are you talking about? Did you come in that car right there?
Yeah, this truck. And they're saying we're popping up in an ICE database.
Well, then you're in it. We're not.
What's the database?
Get the fuck out of here, then. Do we look like ice now? No ice. Nothing on me. Prove it. We're not ice. I don't have no weapons. Let me see your IDs of where you live.
They hate ICE, but they want the IDs of Americans. Give me your IDs. Prove you're not ICE. How do I prove a double negative? You're an idiot. And they're so pissed off. You're effing this, you're effing that. Get out of here. I'm like, dude, I'm driving down a city street. You people are following me. You're absolutely bat poop crazy. And you want my ID, but you don't want anybody checking into the legal people's ID. Does that make sense to anybody? Not me. Not me at all. This doesn't make any sense.
No, they've been following us.
Great.
That's why we got out and
Great.
confronted them.
Great.
You think that's okay?
Yeah. You're not welcome. 100%.
Okay. I'm curious
you
about
our neighborhood. Yes. 100%. Yes.
I'm curious, I guess, how you get into an ICE database.
We're not ICE. Okay, thank you. So you're messing it up.
Everybody, if you've seen what's been going on in Minneapolis, the absurdity of what you've been seeing, and there's a few people out there on the ground. You've seen some stuff from Cam Higsby. I don't know if I can call her his partner, but Haley West is one of the people that you just saw in that video with the nut jobs that were surrounding her, and I believe Cam was in the truck as well. Let's just get right to this. How are you doing, Haley?
I'm doing great, Barry. Thanks so much for having me on.
Before we begin, what's your background? You're an independent journalist. Are you attached to like TPUSA or Frontline or any of these guys, or are you just truly an independent journalist?
Yeah, currently it's just me. I started kind of in this sphere about 6 months ago, still relatively new. But yeah, it's just me on the ground out there. And luckily I've been able to, join teams of journalists and work on the ground with others, not just by myself, especially in situations like these.
So you just started like 6 months ago, and you just jumped into the fire?
I jumped right into it. I've always been interested in, in politics. And I'd say the last 4 years were really a lot about learning and, kind of just ingesting information. And then, of course, I'm located in Portland, Oregon. So right in my backyard, there's usually something happening. And so I started covering the ICE protests at the federal building over on McAdams. And the rest is history. Here I am. So.
Wow. So I just played for everybody the video where you and was Cam in the truck as well, where you guys were driving and they began following you. Was it Cam's truck you guys were in, or is it a rental?
So it was a rental. We had about 5 journalists were in that vehicle with us. Cam was in the front passenger seat as he had the signal chats open, and we were listening in on those at that point in time. And then there are 3 in the back, and then BC Preacher, another great journalist. Shout out to him. He was the one driving that vehicle.
Well, first, I'd like to congratulate that you went from an independent journalist to a confirmed ICE agent in a matter of months. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why did these idiots somehow think that you guys were ICE agents?
That's a great question, Barry. Because especially, if you look at me, I'm about 5'2", I'm wearing just a puffer jacket and I'm in the back of this vehicle. And somehow we were confirmed ICE in these signal chats. And I think a lot of the confirmations that they get, obviously they can determine some are actual ICE agents. However, I think a lot of it is just them determining based on, what they see or what they hear, that we're ICE agents. They're speculative of everybody out there. So it's almost like you have to kind of prove that you're not. But yeah, based on visual, I guess that's how they determined that's what we were.
When did you first notice that you were being followed?
So the first day that I was out there, we were in this vehicle. We crossed into South Minneapolis, where you've seen a lot of the footage from different journalists and these convoys. Bavino was in this area as well, the few days prior to that. And so as soon as we crossed in there, there's a lot of small neighborhoods. It's kind of like a grid pattern of what this neighborhood and community looks like. And so we crossed over. We drove past a car crash that had occurred. And then that's when we started noticing these vehicles started to kind of accumulate behind us. And then listening into these signal chat groups, we were able to hear them call out the Ford F-150 we were in and the license plate. And then we knew at that point for sure that we were confirmed in their, by their spotters. Yeah.
So, that's crazy. So this network, I watched your videos and I recently had the Data Republican on, and she was showing me a lot of this stuff and obviously all the stuff that Cam and you have put out there. It seems quite sophisticated. Do you know how it was developed or when it was developed?
Excuse me. That is, Cam is the one who's really broken the story and knows the nitty gritty and all the details. I'm not too sure of, these things have been going on for a very long time. Like these groups and the chats themselves are nothing new. However, as far as like this specific signal chat, I don't know when it came to be, but I do know it's very, very organized. It's very, very intricate. And they have every step of it planned out. And we saw that play out, just in the 3 weeks that we were there. So, I was only there for about 5 days, but that the others were there as well. So yeah, it's insane.
Do you think they have people working with them at the airport, at the rental car counters and gas stations? Is it that bad, or is it just centralized in those neighborhoods?
So alleged, I've heard those things that are occurring allegedly, as well as like hotels where, they claim that the people working there are also giving out this information. And I think I wouldn't say that it's 100%, but it's very, very likely that all of this is occurring. The problem is it's hard to pin down names because a lot of them use aliases, or, made up usernames. And so it's difficult to pin down specifics, but I think it can be done. And thankfully now we're seeing this network kind of being broken up with a lot of people, finding out who's at the top. So yeah.
And at this point, as you're going through Minneapolis, now let me just ask a question. The Minneapolis is where this incident took place, or as you said, South Minneapolis. Where were you staying? Did you have to stay in a completely different area?
Yeah. We stayed about, I'd say 20 minutes, probably 20 minutes outside of this area. I believe it was still considered Minneapolis, but way outside because, once they track your vehicle, they'll follow you. I mean, we had to, this was a second incident that occurred. There was only 3 of us in the vehicle. But basically we weren't even out there for, journalism. We were driving, we'd gotten food, in the same area closer to downtown at this point in time. And, we started being followed, and we were in a different rental vehicle because we no longer could drive that Ford F-150 because we were already in the system. So we had to drive a different rental vehicle. And we got, basically tracked again. One of the guys that I was with got out, confronted her and said, we're journalists. He showed him her press passions and, was just proving that we are not ICE agents. But it doesn't matter. Once they have any kind of suspicion of you, you're in that system and your vehicle is therefore compromised.
Wow. I mean, at this point, being in Minneapolis must have felt like you were in another country. But even where I've traveled, other countries aren't this bad. What did it feel like? Did it feel like you were in a communist country?
I think at points it felt more like a war zone, especially when you have like federal agents out everywhere, tear gas, which, isn't abnormal or uncommon in these type of situations. But yeah, I think where that almost like foreign feeling comes from is that it's everywhere in Minnesota. Wow. It is a massive, area of this city that you go into a restaurant and they're harboring these people. They're basically saying, come in, take whatever you want, free water, free food. They'll like prop the door. There was one where like, it was like a grocery store. And about 2 blocks away, you had this like war zone going on where agents were trying to keep back protesters. But then you had this like slightly opened doorway to a grocery store that looked closed from the outside, but they had them coming in and out, and that's where they were trying to flee from any of the tear gas and just getting offered. I mean, they offered a couple of the guys we were with to come in because they didn't know who they were at that point, to come in, gave them everything that they needed. And, it's just a very strange feeling. But, no matter where you go, what streets you're on, you're going to see, spray painted things or, everything is anti-ICE, it feels like in that area. So.
But, Minneapolis is a city of about 450,000 people or so. How much of the population just of Minneapolis is involved in this? Because, when you see a couple hundred people, like they had the big rally that was like 10 or 15,000, but those people weren't from Minneapolis. How many people in the actual Minneapolis area are involved in this, would you guess?
It's difficult to probably pinpoint because in most cities that you see this occurring, these protests, these riots, these rallies, you have the community that's invested, but it's not to this like extreme point, right? A lot of people think that what is occurring is wrong and they want to see people protected, but they don't know the intricacies of what's actually occurring on the ground.
Okay.
But in Minnesota, I'd say more of the community is involved than I've seen. This is, you have Antifa in the mix. You have people that I know from Portland confirmed that have gone to Minnesota. Like we know that this isn't all just Minnesotans. Right. But I do think more so than other cities I've been to that they are involved because you have them, you have a lot of them on social media saying like, I'm from Minnesota, or the guy in my video saying, this is our community. We live here, so that's the scary part, is when you have a majority of a city, which I can't confirm, but if you do, you have a majority of this community against the federal government, against what these operations are intended to do, then yeah, more and more people are going to get hurt. And that's a sad fact. We don't want to see that.
Did you have a chance while you guys were out there to speak to any normal people in Minneapolis? I mean, like the people who aren't completely bat poop crazy? And if so, what do they think? And are they too afraid to speak out?
So just due to the danger and the safety issues of where we were, most of the time we weren't able to get interviews or, show who we were. We kind of had to blend in, with the crowd. But at the Whipple Federal Building, I was able to speak with a gentleman, a Minnesotan, who was just out there, supporting. He wasn't antagonistic or doing anything to impede operations. He was just out there. And I did about a 4-minute interview with him. And he basically just said, like, I agree with some of these things, but, we're glad National Guard is coming in, sent by Governor Walz. But I think just the average person, they think with their heart, they're more sympathetic, they think emotionally. And so when they see these, what they deem as brutal acts occurring, then they sway that way versus, if you're, again, out there and seeing what's actually occurring, that might that's why we're out there, is to show what's actually happening once those incidents have kind of faded away and you have protests and masses of people going out there to start something. So
how many of the people, if you were to guesstimate this, how many of the people you think would willingly go forward with doing some serious violence? I mean, making noise and breaking windows and spray painting stuff is one thing, but it takes a whole different type of person to want to actually engage with a law enforcement officer in a violent manner. How many are there? A lot of them that would indeed put their lives on the line?
I think it's a small percentage, a very small percentage, but I think the overarching goal of this network is to kind of train people to think worst case scenario. They train them for every possible interaction, whether, they're taking a mom and her baby, or, they're taking a man. They train you to prepare for whatever the incident might be that pops up, and then how to react to those things. And so once you start training people and radicalizing people, like, that number is going to uptick for sure. And I think that we're living in such a time where people they are truly, like, these narratives are making them live in fear and anger. And they think that, with the terminology we hear of Nazis or white supremacists, or all of these things that a lot of us have been called, and especially the agents out there, like, it's very scary rhetoric that we hear. And it's not just coming from the, like, leaders of the resist DAP or the resist groups or the anti-ICE groups. This is coming from politicians. And, that is where I think people are going to have to be held responsible, because that's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you guys were being followed and it went on for like a number of blocks, did you try to call the police? And if you did, what happened?
No, we didn't try to call the police. From experience, like, that would have taken probably a long time. So basically what we ended up doing, we did try to lose them. We did a U-turn. We tried to get out of the neighborhood. With the second incident, we literally had to go onto the freeway and, like, zoom out because they were trying to continue to follow us. But no, that's why, at that point we had 5 people. We just stepped out of the vehicle and approached the car of these 2 women that were, blowing whistles and had been tracking us for over an hour. And, and then that's where you see all these people coming from a protest nearby and confronting us back. And yeah, it was just a mess. That's where they asked for our IDs and, things like that. I'm like, what are we doing here? What world are we living?
I saw the guy in the orange hat and he comes charging up, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. And I'm not going to ask you if you or Cam were armed, but they might get something they don't want. I mean, they're charging after people. You have every right at that point to defend yourself. And I don't think these people understand the repercussions they could face. If not in that area, if they try in different areas, they're not going to go home. So, I mean, it's absolutely insane because he was so aggressive. He was swearing at you. And I was thinking, okay, so they're following you and they're trying to see where you're going. What would they have done if they found out what hotel you were staying at? Just make noise or try to break into your room? I can't even imagine. Did you guys think about what they would do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we had plan A, plan B on, what to do in what situation. I mean, you literally go out there and you have to come together if one of us gets hurt or if one of us gets separated. Like, you have to make all of these plans in advance because of the true danger. Like, it seems, maybe just talking to the average person, they may be like, oh, you're blowing this out of proportion. But no, like, there is true danger. And we've seen that in the footage of, like, what happened to Nick and Cam being surrounded. It's not a game. And I think when you're in a mass group, it can they feel power, right? Like, they feel like nothing can touch them versus like if there's only a few of us on the ground, like it's free reign at that point, basically. So the danger is real. If, you are out there, you have to make contingency plans and be very wise about trying to blend in. But day one or day two, we'd already, your docs, they put what you're wearing. They say, not to engage, and they call you all kinds of labels. And so, you just have to kind of be aware of your surroundings at all times and that you're not being followed.
You, Cam, the other people you mentioned, Nick, Shirley, all independent journalists. Where are the so-called network journalists? Are they out there?
What do you mean by network journalists?
The CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs.
Yeah, that's a great question. Something common that I've seen, not just in Minnesota, but most like Portland or Seattle, you'll see them come out, during the day when they have the little inflatables and they're doing like a little seance in front of the federal building. It's very calm, it's a picture perfect moment. But then as soon as nightfall comes, you have Antifa coming out and, that's where the real danger arises. That's where all of these incidents typically occur. And they're nowhere to be found. And that's a huge problem. That's why you have so many citizen journalists rising up and saying, whether they're left or right or center, they're going out there because we're seeing it's so problematic that mainstream media is failing to do their job. And you're having people that are in their 20s or even younger going out there and saying, no, this is what actually happened, and challenging their narratives.
So you're on the ground with the group of people you're with, and you've been able to engage with them. You've been able to talk to some of them, maybe. What the hell do they really want? I mean, ICE leaving, is that all they want? Is that their demand? That's it? And then they'd all, because I think Jacob Fry has said, if you guys go away, everybody else goes away. Is that true, do you think?
I think that, if that was true and if that was the case, then we wouldn't see protests anymore because it would have ended with maybe BLM or Free Palestine or, no kings. So to me, it seems like the common denominator isn't the actual issue they bring to the table at that point in time. It seems like the issue is that Donald Trump is in office. If that's the common denominator, they hate him and they hate whatever, we had mass deportations under President Obama. Yeah. We had, it's ridiculous that a lot of these things and that were enforced and the money that was given to ICE agents to do their job, a lot of that occurred under, Obama. And now Trump is doing a lot of the same things. And that's where they have a problem with it because it's not what's being done, but who's doing it. And so, I think that, I hope that they will come to some sort of agreement, in Minnesota, because what's going on there is it's only going to continue to escalate. And mind you, when I got there was -20. So this isn't beyond cold temperatures. Yeah. Imagine what the summer weather will bring. And that's a scary thought.
You mentioned money for the ICE. The money for these people, as Data Republican and other people are starting to dig, there are some really deep pockets. I think Bill O'Reilly talked about some guy who's in Canada. One of the things that amazes me is that they talk that they hate capitalism, but then they enjoy the fact that there's somebody out there who's writing checks for their signs and then their noisemakers and everything else. Are these people just that disjointed?
Well, I think the people who are organizing are not. They're very smart. They know exactly what they're doing. It's very pointed. However, when you have most people are sheep, right? Most people want to be led. They want to be told what to do. And especially if you live emotionally and you live by what feels good or feels right, then yeah, you're probably going to lean more on the left, and you're probably going to say, well, yeah, I saw a little baby getting snatched up by a man and with weapons. Like, yeah, that's unbelievable, because people fail to do their own research. They fail to look at the parts that nobody wants to look at, the money, where funding is coming from, the numbers, the statistics. People don't want to look inward. They just want to be told. And so that's why you have a lot of these people that are just, it seems like they're insane. And I think some of them are, but, it happens on the right as well. And we can't just believe what we're told by whatever news, network. We have to do the work. And that's why I think being on the ground opens your eyes so much, because you see falsehoods on both sides. When you watch the news the next morning, you're saying, well, that didn't happen, but that didn't happen. It's like, this is what really happened. And I hope that, continued footage of what's happening will begin to open people's eyes. But then you also see situations where we all watch the same shooting and still the narratives are completely different. Even after watching the same 30-second video, how can we be so different?
Right.
So yeah.
How long do you think, you mentioned the summer and in the spring and when it gets warmer, how long do you think these people can continue this? Just having this kind of adrenaline and drive to just keep protesting, it's got to take a toll on somebody. Do you think they have the numbers to continue this during the summer, or they're going to have to bring in more recruits?
They're always bringing in more recruits. I've seen it. At a recent protest in Portland, I actually saw a woman that I saw like about 4 months ago. She's now leading and speaking at a protest, when the day that I met her, it was her first time being out at the ICE facility. Like they basically are grooming these people into being leaders, being advocates, being voices. But I do believe that it comes in waves. So that's what we've typically seen. It'll be an uprising, and then you'll hear it'll be calm for a bit. And then the next incident, whatever it might be, ICE related or not, they'll use that as more fuel to start another movement. And so, yeah, I think the next 3 years are going to be very long ones. And I think we live in a news cycle where we forget very quickly, but there's so much being that we're taking in, that like where everybody is pretty emotional almost every day. You wake up and it's like, oh, we're angry again, so.
Many of us have thought and surmised the fact that these people must be getting paid, but have you guys been able to confirm that they are indeed getting paid? And, are they making money from this?
Yeah, it's occurring. No doubt about that. You see, there's names that have been thrown around that we can all say, yeah, they're probably funding this. Now, the trail to prove that is a long one, and people are working on it. One day I think that will unravel. But the scary part, I think, is a lot of these people are out there because they truly believe in what they're doing. They're not just being paid. They're not being funded. You see a lot of them wearing like the green jackets or the yellow jackets, and like those ones are being paid. They're there. You'll see a lot of them around the nation, different protests. Like those ones, I'd say, sure, they're getting paid. That's their profession, professional protester or whatever. But most of them, no, they're out there for what they believe is a cause. It's anarchy, and they're doing it for free. So yeah, I'd say a majority of them.
How are they living? You got to eat, you got to put clothes on, you got to pay rent. How the hell are these people living and going out to protest every other day?
That's a great question.
That's probably a story. That's probably a story in itself. Hey, I'm not here to argue with you. How are you doing this? I saw today they announced that they were having this thing where nobody goes to work, nobody goes to school, nobody shops. And I'm thinking, well, you mean like every other day? Because
yeah, what's new?
It's like we're just I just thought that was insane. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
no, you're totally right. I mean, you will see a percentage of the people are maybe homeless or have mental disabilities. That's a very common thing where they'll almost bring them in like we're a family, and you can trust us. We'll help you. We'll get you food. In Portland, there was an encampment for like multiple months. People were living there. There was a fire. It was there's food everywhere, everything you could possibly need. So a lot of them bring them in that way. There's safe houses as well, Antifa safe houses, where people will just all stay in the same place. But yeah, I think a lot of them do work in healthcare that they've admitted, or they're lawyers, or these are normal people that by day they work their job and by night they're out there protesting. So
you just brought up something interesting. It's like they're in healthcare and things of that nature. A couple of people down here in Florida decided they were going to put a phone to their face and tell us how they were going to hurt MAGA and poison people. And I'm thinking, is this kind of some sort of brainwashing that you're willing to put your career on the line? That's what it's hard for me to understand. You're an esthetician at a hospital. You're probably making $100,000 a year. And you tell people I'm not going to put up the dosage so people can feel pain, and then you get your license revoked. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It almost feels like a mob mentality has taken over, and they're not understanding that this stuff is real life. You just can't threaten people this way and follow people like you around. It just drives me nuts. I mean, when you guys sit back and you're planning your trips, and you have to go through, like you said, all the different scenarios. Are you concerned if somebody has to go to a hospital, or if you have to go to a restaurant, that somebody may poison your food or do something out of urgent care?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a fear. Even walking into a restaurant or like a bar or whatever, like wherever you might go, there's always that fear. But I mean, you can't live in fear. You just have to try to, plan wisely and, just we're respectful wherever we're at. So, but I think that, in Minnesota, that was a problem, is no matter where you went, you didn't know, like, cause it feels like the whole city is infiltrated, which is so strange. But yeah, you just have to be really wise and, try to have plans of if something happens, this is what we do.
So where are you guys headed? And I say you guys, where are you headed next?
Well, I'm back in Portland. So, last weekend, actually, they probably one of the crazier, weeks we've seen in months, where they actually deployed tear gas. They were crossing the federal line. They were trying to rip down the boards that are on the building. So I definitely think this Alex Preddy shooting has kind of woken up, and Portland's kind of a copycat. So whatever happens elsewhere, that allows them to kind of get, rise up and get crazy. So that's something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. But overall, I mean, Minnesota is kind of the hotbed right now. It feels like everybody is waiting and seeing what will occur and what the next moves are. But again, like even today, it looks like things have heated up. They're pulling the National Guard out, and so it's hard to determine, when this thing will end.
Wow. Are you heading back to Minnesota anytime soon?
No plans yet. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if I do, I'll probably not be going alone.
Well, whatever you do, please stay safe, and everybody here, go ahead and follow Haley. She's on X at Haley West, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people that want to say hello and are going to bless you with some safety, whatever it is that you do next. So, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for your drive to cover all this and get us the news. Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Well, I hope you guys gained some insight today with these two interviews from the Data Republican and Haley West. I talked to Ashley, and I told her I want to take a different turn with interviews, because I've noticed more and more when we talk to politicians, they blow smoke up my butt and they won't answer the real questions. And so it seems as though the people who are actually working on trying to fix things, they're out there in the street. They're out there working the computers, trying to get things done. And I noticed a couple of comments in the chat, and people are feeling disheartened. I say just the opposite. Here's why. Haley, 23, 24, 5'2", looks like she might be 130 pounds soaking wet. That tells me something. That tells me that there are people out there that we can help and let them know, get out there. Do what you need to do. We don't need CNN and MS Now or even Fox at this point. We need people who are going to get out there and tell the real story. So if this 5'2", 23-year-old woman who probably weighs no more than 125 or 130 pounds, if she can get out there on the street and she can start documenting some of this stuff and the stuff that they're putting out, the videos that they're putting out, then we have a chance. We are actually going to see what's really happening because we're not being shown that. I mean, there's nobody, I mean, I would almost think, why were none of the people on Fox, why are they not showing her getting followed around? And everybody, when it first broke, when it first came out, and Nick Shirley had, went to the different places, yeah, a lot of people covered that. But some of the subsequent stuff, nobody's covering. We need people who are willing to go out there. Man, if I was 30 years younger, I'd be out there. If something happens in Boca, I'm going to be out there, taking pictures of the old people and stuff. But in any event, I hope it gives us some encouragement that we are not totally behind the eight ball, that there's some way we can fight back. SB, he always pops up the breaking news and everything. And yep, like I said in my video today, I don't see Don Lemon getting convicted. He's already out on bail. He's already running flapping his jaws, making fun of it. The best we can hope for at this point is that he has to spend millions of dollars doing his defense. I just hope they drain this guy, if he's even got a couple $1 million. We don't know. The other thing is we need to keep the messaging up because they've obviously activated every single celebrity they can possibly get their hands on. Lady Gaga, Bruce Springsteen. But see, there's something good about that too. At this point, I'm seeing more and more people just turn their head. I don't care what you have to say. Those days are long gone. They should have learned that during the last election. All the endorsements, all the money, all the stars that came out for Kamala Harris didn't mean anything. What was the whole thing with Beyonce? Hey, we're going to come out and she's supposed to sing, and people left pissed off because Beyonce didn't sing. Their words no longer mean anything. I don't care this much what Lady Gaga has to say. I was a huge, huge Bruce Springsteen fan. Now, if it comes on the radio, I just change the channel. I'm not doing anything with Springsteen. Kathy Griffith, John Leguizamo, the guy from Breaking Bad, Molly Ring. I don't care. You couldn't draw flies on your own anyway. Nobody wants to see your shows and your movies. Now, I had just texted SV and said they're already out destroying Melania's movie. They're doing everything they possibly can to downvote it, to do everything they can to say it sucks. Rotten Tomatoes, they're dialing back and saying the ratings and all kinds of crap. They're leaving scathing reviews. Ignore it. You know that's going to happen. Don't let that piss you off. Don't let stuff like this piss you off over the weekend. It's designed to do that. And so, I just wanted to take tonight to do something on the other side. Tomorrow we'll talk about the Georgia election. But that's where I am. Let me go ahead and do super chats, and then I'll do the after party, and you guys can jump. But I really hope you follow those two ladies, or actually those three ladies, the data interpreter, the data Republican, and Haley West. And understand, I was talking to Haley. She's a 23-year-old woman. She's not writing a book. And follow her and try to engage with her and spread it around. So she told me she just got monetized on X, and so I'm like, you make all these videos with millions of views, and today she finally got monetized. So hopefully she can make some money on her videos and what she's doing out there. All right, so let me look at this real quick here. Okay. Macon Blankenship for the tickets. Wow, thank you very much. Yeah, we're going to give away 100 pairs of tickets, 200 tickets. Miss Ninja Turtle, thank you. Don't rump. Okay, much love and respect. Patience is the way forward. New follower, what's up, Wiz? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Miss Ninja again, I'm applying for assistance for my Eloquist. Thanks for prayers. Pray I'm approved. You'll get approved. It's already done. We're speaking it out right now. You will get approved. Chiosop, hopefully Lemon doesn't end up with a $2 million GoFundMe. The stupid libs are giving money to the criminals. Yeah, he probably will. Don't let it bother you. I mean, he's probably going to get a huge GoFundMe, and that's just what they do. And Springsteen could write him a check. Jerome Lambert, people will be afraid to post comments if opposed. I generally go with the flow, but at times I disagreed with you at times, so I should be afraid. Not really sure what you mean. Macon Blankenship, the left wants to fund everything in the budget except for the funding for ICE. Yeah, good luck with that. Alice says, thank you for the realness. Thank you, Alice, for watching. Larry, 1754, got my Trump shoes months ago, but one size too small. Posted this in the super chat. Barry, you told me to email and you would switch them out. Did that a couple of times. No reply from anyone. You know, I get like, I don't know, 300-400 emails a day. Do me a favor. Email me again and put in the subject line, sneaker replacement. If you put those words, I will look for it. Ashley will look for it, and we'll get you taken care of. Resempix, what's that say? Rise in Phoenix. Oh, too bad Melania isn't a U.S.-born citizen. I would vote for her 1,000,000 times over Hillary. She's a very smart woman. Very smart and very classy. Raven Kirkendall, we should go and meet as a group to the race. Yeah, if you guys want to do that in August, that's right around, that'd be a good time to go. Nice and warm. See some cherry blossoms for sure. Buddy Sanders, F1 racing is the biggest motorsports in the world. Yep, like I was told, F1 and Indy are not the same. They're just fast cars. They're fast cars. Want to go fast. Sherry Bertrand, Barry Mods and Friends. I'm a very quiet weather watcher, but want to thank you for all the truths, your logical opinions keep me level-headed. You are truly a blessing. Wow, in my life. Thank you very much. That means a lot. You get so much hate mail and stuff like that. I love hearing that kind of stuff. Thank you. Daringo. But them sure made a big deal about Obama's producing a movie, didn't they? Yeah, thank you, Barry. Yeah, all the stuff that they did on Netflix and all the money they spent and all the money that they got, got donated and everything else. I think, and nobody talks about the fact that they got $70 million or something. Daringo says, I dig the new raw berry flavor on X better than the rest of the raw suitage of my algorithm lately. Thanks for your fanfare. Yeah, I kind of let go, and if something's bothering me, I'll tell you how I'm feeling about it. I only want to keep them like under a minute and a half so I can just hit it real quick. Let's see here. That was a great interview, Barry. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, that was a great interview, Barry. Thank you very much for your great questions. Thank you. By the way, some of those came from you guys. It wasn't just all me. Let's see here. Steven Anderson purchased Engelhard 1 ounce bars today, 95 at 20 today. Hold. Watch what happens. Reticent Robin, fantastic interview with the Data Republican. Thank you for always bringing it. Thank you for watching. And we're going to clip those 2 videos. I'll put up one tomorrow and I'll put up one Sunday so you can tell your friends. Mariah, incredible information has been exposed. Thank you so much for coordinating so much, Barry. Thank you. Amazing. Praying for goodness from the heavens. To you as well. C. Serwin, thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Macon Blankenship again. Thank you and the mods for all that you do. Thank you. And my brother Neo got here so late, Barry. Thanks for all you do. Lemonhead is greased. Pay up now. FAFO. Have a great MAGA weekend, Barry, teams and family. And I just want to make sure you guys all stay warm. I understand this is the next 24, 48 hours with the bomb cyclone or something like that, and all this stuff is supposed to happen. So I understand you guys, depending on where you are up north or It may get real cold. It's supposed to get cold down here, but hey, when the sun comes up and the day begins, it gets warm again. So just stay warm, stay safe. If you don't got to go outside and get in the middle of a bomb cyclone, don't do it. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.